2009 would be the last victory that the Tifosi would take until Sebastian Vettel led the Prati horses to victory calendar during the 2003 season. This time due to tobacco laws which prevented several teams entering due to their current sponsorship clauses. Many world champions have fared well in Spa over the years. Michael Schumacher, Ed Senna, Jim Clark, Niki Lauda and Alan Prost, to name just a few, have enjoyed standing on the top step of the podium. In terms of nationality, Brits have had the most success here. Notable winners include Lewis Hamilton, Jenson Button, Jackie Stewart and Jim Clark. 1939 saw the birth of the Radion section of the track. However, World War II would ensure Radion would not see action again until the 1946 season. 2008 saw a frantic battle between Lewis Hamilton and Kimi Raikkonen. Conditions were bad due to a late shower of rain, causing Hamilton to spin before resuming his lead in the closing lap, where Raikkonen crashed. Stewart went on to issue a penalty to Hamilton due to alleged corner cutting, dropping him down to third place. Eau Rouge and Radion are by far the most notorious corners on the current circuit. In this section of the track, drivers are launched from a straight into a steep uphill series of right and left corners with a blind summit. Despite Ferrari's success in Spa, Kimi Raikkonen's win here in 2009 would be the last victory that the Tifosi would take until Sebastian Vettel led the Prati horses to victory in 2018.
Hello and welcome to PS F2, and I've just finished F3 and did a bit of chaos as the drivers of F3 that wanted to get in last second haven't been able to do so, and I need to start a PS party so the drivers here cannot hear me. I have left the Discord chat. And now, quick roundup here. Papi Puro, who the hell are you, has gone P1, Rajwell in P2, Yunik in P3, Dan Smith P4, Jericho Balgas, the Northern Irishman in P5, Jeans, Shut Up Crystal in P6, Bottom Marco P7, Otto Snodfield in P8, Antononi Matsuyuak, I think it is in P9, Fruity P10, Red Ninja, Lord Percival 11 and 12, Noise, David Clark, Adam Bradshaw didn't set a time. Oh, and it looks dry here in Spa. And I'll just get my track map quite quickly as we're just waiting for a few drivers to come into the lobby. I am a standing commentator for F2 because I do too much commentary on this game as it is. As Crystal has tagged himself on Discord, that's intelligent. Nobody wanted to restart by the sounds of it. Good luck to all of them as we're going to get underway now momentarily. I need to get this stream up for everyone. This delay is good actually. It gives me time to prepare all this before the chaos starts. In Spa de Francorchamps. We're just being held up here as drivers are just finishing off their strategies. And here we go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And it is lights out and away we go. It looks like Caprio gets a decent start as Mendes gets a drive-through penalty and he's already overtaken Otto. Yunik up to P2, he's overtaken Rajwell and Iniesta. Bit of contact between the AlphaTauri and the Ferrari, but everyone seems to get away quite safely there further down the field. On the run down to Eau Rouge we go and Radion. Crystal up to P7, overtaking the McLaren of Dan Smith. Everyone seems to be quite safe. Red Ninja seeming to overtaking here, and he's been overtaken by Adam Bradshaw already, my co-commentator in F3. Matthias Toplinski is up to P16. Everyone seems to get away quite safe. Here we go, Jericho v Rajwell, round 1. Rajwell winning this initial skirmish here. Bottom Marco and Anatoly both fighting in the Alpines. This is a yellow flag in Sector 2, and that looks to be the Aston Martin of Alex Optka Noise, who's dropped to the back of the grid. Let's have a look at the drivers' tyre strategies. Everyone on the mediums apart from Matthews and Noise. Position change wise, we see Sparrow Maltby up 7 positions, Dan Smith down 15, Crystal down 6, Gustav Schurber and Golden Flame, Adam Bradshaw up 5 laps each, or 5 positions each. Matthews also up 5. And we'll just get this camera shooting quite quickly here. Otto Snowfield, our championship leader, currently in P8 here, as we had interchangeable conditions. During qualifying, it went from dry to wet, which ended all the proceedings. And as a result of that, everyone just retired, to be honest. As I'm just looking at the chat here. Excuse me. As we are riding on board with Otto now, who's closing in on Gustav Schurber, who had as Papyrus has the fastest lap race, he had a 2-week holiday as he was driving around Spa in real life. Around the karting track here, as Menelitz enters into the pits. Anatoly, 3 drivers, Crystal and David Clark, also in the pits at this point. It's a Ferrari 1-2 here in Belgium after 1 lap. Great stuff. Who is Yunnik? I need to find out this guy. As he is closing down this teammate, but he's not going to make a move here. Sparrow up to PA, overtaking Adam Bradshaw. And so is ORT Red Ninja. Christian Kiriziak. Who's Yunnik? Okay, Christian. And who's Yunnik? Oh, that is Yunnik. Who's the other guy? Papi Puro. That's Daniel. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. Christian and Daniel. Otto up to P6, overtaking Gustav Schurber. Through the no-lane corner we go. Some very famous corners here. I think this is Les Combs here, if I'm correct. Or Puhan. Sorry, this is Puhan. How could I forget? So, 2 main strategies today, medium to hard or soft to medium. As we raced here last night in F5, I can tell you the softs will be screaming after 10 laps. There's a bit of desync between Chris and Adam Bradshaw. Adam span around, doesn't seem to have damaged the car, and that's going to bring out a yellow flag for sectors 2 and 3. Looks to have kept everything in shape for him, unfortunately span around there. Further up the field, Bono Marco up to P5, now Jericho P4. Some very good drivers in this grid. Roswell Iniesta from the IRT group to P3 as Yunnik, I can't remember your name again. Daniel, is it? Christian. And Adam is into the pits, probably to change his wing. He probably got some minor damage, unfortunately for him. Otto up to P6 now, 2 positions since we last checked him. And Yunnik and Papura are both, well, they're both in a fight of their own at the moment. Daniel and Christian, which is good stuff from them. Roswell and Jericho, round 2. Here we go in sector 2. As Roswell has a bit of a moment there, a bit of a snap of oversteers, a yellow flag, and that looks like to be the Haas of Malberg has gone off the track. Malberg was actually able to get into the lobby in the end. I don't know what's going on here because Darius Bodine is also here, so whatever what I was saying before is nonsense. Thank God we didn't do a restart. Jericho managing to stay with Roswell now. Through Puhan we go. Bono Marco closely behind, waiting in the wings for any mistakes from either driver to pick up the pieces and make a position. Fruity up to P9. He's battling with Red Ninja. Joseph Burns, thank you. I couldn't remember your name. I was going to say Chris for a second, but it's not. Joseph Burns, the Irishman. But Darius Bodine, who had a very impressive win in F3 in Kota. 5 safety cars, he led 4 of the restarts. And speaking of him, Joseph Burns is falling down the laps here, the positions here. He was ghosted, looks to have lost the car. So we're going to bring the yellow flag out. No safety car just yet here in Spa after 3 laps. Big distinction between here and F3, where there was a safety car for the first sector. What is going on, lads? As Mateus and Dan are fighting side by side through the bus stop chicane on the exit here. DRS wide open for both drivers, I'm assuming. Yep, it is indeed. Red Ninja into the bits through turn 1 here, which has seen some chaotic incidents on lap 1 in the past. In real life F1, Malberg up to P16. We see Red Ninja changing his wing. And the two drivers in the Ferrari, yet again jousting between themselves. Playing their own little game here, cat and mouse. 2.5 seconds Jericho's nearly away. Roswell now playing the cat in their game. Marco up to P4, sneaks that position, beautifully done there. As we go, now this is Les Combs. This is Les Combs, yeah. We're going through the no-name corner now, up on the rundown to Puhan we go. Marco into P4 at the moment. Rosberg, after starting P2, has dropped all the way down to P5, unfortunately for them. Fossifer closing in on Fruity, the two rivals from the crossplace here last season. And Darius Bodine also closing in on Fossifer, so there's going to be a bit of a DRS train forming here, but it looks like Dan Smith and Mateusz Tofliniski involved as well. Further up the field, the race seems to be settling down with the two Ferraris still over 2 seconds away from the rest of the field. Marco is closing in on Jericho though as we speak. I knew this Marco guy was quick. I remember him before. As Bashi is asking for ERS, so is Kenny. I'm not going to give it to Bashi, but I'm going to give it to Calais because I like Calais. I like you too, Bashi, don't worry. DRS wide open. As I'm getting spammed by Bashi now. As we obviously have some drivers having engineers for this race, the ABC crowd or whatever they're called these days, GRS ABC. Marco looking to get the move done on Jericho Babalos on the straight. And it's that simple. It's part of the track. Lewis and Hamilton and Fernando Alonso last season had a big collision which led to a nasty radio message between the two, from Fernando Alonso about Lewis. That iconic shot of Lewis just walking back to the track by himself. Anyway, back to the esports world, where Mateusz is really closing in on Dan Smith, but he seems to drop back now through Les Combs. Noise recovering after having to pit very early on, and unfortunately for Adam Bradshaw, he is at the back of the grid at the moment. A bit of work to do, but a safety car will bring him right back into this race. The two Ferraris still out by themselves as Anatoly gets a 3-second time penalty. Darius Bodine closing then on Fossey for the two F3 drivers, I beg your pardon, for P10. And Mateusz closing in on Dan Smith. Not a lot else happening at the moment on track. However, the two Ferraris are getting quite close by the looks of it. Christian closing in on Daniel here as Darius has gotten the move done on for Kwan for P10. And he's going to bit off the track there first. Chicane here. A bit of a compromising line there by Fossifer, but anyway, don't look at that too much. David Clarkton is still in P18. Joseph Burns in P19. Crystal, our championship contender, P17 at the moment, as Noise goes up to P13, and he's going to go side by side with Mateusz through turn 1 on the run down to the Eau Rouge and Radion complex. Turns 2 and 3 and 4 of this beautiful Spa-Francorchamps track. All 7 kilometers of it, with the most gradient changes on the calendar. It's Dan Smith and Fossifer fighting further up the field. I mean, you can see this beautifully from Alex's point of view in his Aston Martin here. Blinking red light means no battery left for Fossifer. You already know that if you're watching F1 for long enough. And here comes Noise. Lovely stuff here into Les Combs. Amazing side-by-side action here. No contact between these drivers. Helicopter cam galore. Great stuff here. Fossifer is a bit compromised now to Mateusz as well. These three drivers keeping it relatively clean though. No chaos yet, no safety cars yet. All drivers still on the track, no DNS after 6 laps. Great stuff seen here. 16 laps to go in F2. Further up the field, it's still Ferrari Central, which I wish it was like that in real life. My, the days of the Tifosi going wild with a dominant performance are long gone, but in F2 tonight they are recreating that. As Papi Fur is making a move, Alex against it was rapidly closing in. He's going to have DRS now in a second on the run down to turn 1. Traditionally you don't really see moves into turn 1 nowadays. You see them more so up Eau Rouge and Radion on the straight afterwards there, the Camel straight, because You're just going to get overtaken again if you do it here. DRS games a big component now of F1 esports. They weren't so much a year ago, but now it's everyone's going to cop on. It's Sparrow Moppy also going to have DRS here, and Gustav Sherbert further down the field, who's going to be vulnerable to the attack. All the drivers preserving their ERS quite nicely. As I say that, Otto has depleted his. Yannick has ceded the position. Bodo and Jericho are also battling now. Jericho back down to P4, Bodo back up to P3. As Anatoly has retired from the session, it looks to be safely done in the pit lane though. And that is going to be the end of his day. No safety car obviously for that, as he has safely retired. Adam Bradshaw up to P19. You love to see it. Well, I'd like to see him move further up the field, but anyway. Large train forming now though from P7 all the way down to P14. A lot of drivers with noise dropping out of DRS. He's going to be vulnerable to the drivers behind if he doesn't catch up soon. He is using some ERS to do so now though. Dan Smith happily staying behind at the moment. So the medium tyre runners are going to start to lose. Wow, Kenny. Well, I just seen your comment on this chat. I'm quite upset with you. Anyway, the medium runners are going to start to drop off now. Those tyres beginning to degrade, and the hard tyres are going to come into their optimal window pretty soon. The medium runners can pit from anywhere between laps 8 to 11 to 12 and still be okay even longer, depending on how well they preserve and whisper their tyres. I did 14 laps in the softs last night and they were at 80-something%, so it's not advisable. As we see Mateus getting very close to the back of Noise's gearbox there through the bus stop chicane. Are we going to see a move for the lead now? Is Christian going to overtake Daniel? Unek on Papipura, as they have been just basically swapping the position the whole time here. Maybe they're working together. Not because they don't seem to be fighting each other. Yeah, they're just helping each other along here by the looks of it. Which is good to see. Good some team play here. And this keeps Bodo Marco outside of the DRS range of them, as Mateus does get past Noise after being so closely behind him into sector 3. The exit of it. Noise though is ghosted at the moment and is right on the gearbox here of Mateus in the Red Bull. Little Dragon Me, Mr. Sparrow Mulpey in P8 at the moment, going through the no-name corner where they are hunting down Gustav Sherbert, our lobby host. Gustav should have a lot of practice from racing this track in real life this week. And he is 8 seconds off the mark, as Fruity is our first driver today to get a 3-second time penalty. So safety car window is well and thoroughly open now for the medium runners. They can stick on the hards and run to the end of the race. Another interesting strategy here is to extend the mediums for a little while longer and then run the softs, which I'm assuming some of these drivers are going to do so. But they'll have to probably do another 5 or so laps, if not more. Sparrow closing in on Gustav now on the run into the bus stop chicane, which is turns 18 and 19 of this fabulous track in the Ardennes Forest in Belgium. Sparrow really wanting to get on with it here, and he's been hounded by Fruity behind him. I think there was a bit of contact there, and that may have compromised his exit. Fruity's going to go side by side with Sparrow into turn 1 here. Keeps it relatively clean. Not a whole lot of space given to Sparrow, but seems hard racing, very lot on borderline fair. And the two Ferrari drivers, yet again, just inverting the positions at the end of the Camel Straight, which is just keeping the other drivers away. As Mileberg enters the pits, first of the medium runners to pit for today, and he goes on to the hard compound tyres. Tony, I think his name is. Our championship leader Otto not gaining any more positions after gaining 2 at the start. Mateus now up to P11, getting past Dan Smith. Further up the field, we do see Darius Bodine and Sparrow Malpey, the 2 F3 drivers, going side by side. Rules comes now into no-name corner. Where is Sparrow? He's behind him now. As Sparrow has a little bit of a shake there, snap of oversteer in the middle of the no-name corner, and that's going to compromise them against Mateus. Mateus up to P10. Great charge by the Red Bull driver at the moment. Next on his hit list is our F3 championship leader, Fruity. in DRS now of Gustav, as Noise gets a 3-second time penalty, as Crystal also gets a 3-second time penalty. Lads, keep it within the white lines, please. I can hear Crystal screaming KYS to me. I won't say that on the stream. So Malberg is the first driver on the new hard tyres, with Mateus, Noise, Crystal and David all on old hard tyres. Sparrow now up. Sparrow and Dan Smith fighting in the bus stop chicane. Both drivers are going to have DRS here. Sparrow seems to have lost this battle as well, as Fossifer is now the next medium compound runner to dive into the pits. As I have a message request on Discord. Do you commentate the races for ERO? I do. Fossifer into the pits, as we said, on the fresh hard compound tyres. Otto Snodfield up to P5 now, getting past Rodwell Iniesta at the end of the Kent Straight. Otto on a charge. Fruity getting past Gustav. Gustav is, oh my god, Gustav is being swarmed here, with Darius Budin right behind him too. Gustav showing some impressive results in other servers at the moment. Rightio. So this battle is going to develop over the course of these next 12 laps, and be interesting to see who comes out on top. Oof. Jericho is the only driver really within DRS here at the top 5. Obviously the two Ferraris are in their own little battle, their own little world at the moment. Rojbel Iniesta needs to get a move on here. He's lost the position to Otto. And the two Ferraris again, we're not going to talk about that. But that's an unusual spot to invert it there, because they do it after the turn 1 DRS zone. But anyway, further in the field, Rojbel very close to the back of Otto here, as we've been watching him for the last sector or so. He's not going to make the move here, surely. Has the battery advantage. And he's going to make the move into the camera straight nicely, as Noise and Sparrow have both overtaken Dan Smith, who's elected to enter the pits, and the next medium compound runner to change onto the hard tyres. Or is he going to change onto the softs? It's debatable. We'll see in a second. And Fossifer, who recently just pitted, will he come out ahead of Dan? Because the undercut is very, very strong in this game. The two Ferraris have inverted yet again. Rojbel and Otto were also fighting, as predicted, a DRS assisted overtake number 235 in this race. Fossifer and Dan are going to be battling coming out of the pits here. It looks like Dan's kept the position. Fruity and Darius Budin also fighting Martin Rusnak, I think is Fruity's name. Lovely, lovely stuff there from him, as the Red Bull of Mateus is sticking his nose where it's not wanted for these two drivers. Noise entering the scene as well. Noise with the dive bomb on Mateus. Oh my god. All safe. All good. As there's a bit of contact there between the Haas and the Aston Martin, as we can see here. We're just right on board with Mateus. So there's a great view of this battle as we go into Puhan. Mateus also almost making the contact there with back of Noise's gearbox. A lot of contact here between Noise and Darius. Alex and Noise have to keep it clean here, lads. We don't want tears, we don't want DNFs. Hasn't taken the best line there, Alex, and he's going to be a bit compromised to Mateus. He seems to be struggling with those old tyres. He's going to be entering the pits quite soon. I'm assuming for the soft, as here comes Mateus on the charge again, up to P10. And the squabbling between Alex and Mateus has let Darius get away quite nicely. He won't be breaking the DRS by any means, but we'll have a bit of a gap. Martin Rusnak on the back of Gustav Schubert. I'm just going to want to get on with it, as Darius and Mateus both enter the pits. I'm assuming to go on to the softs. It's a bit of a gamble. We'll see in a second. The two Ferraris have inverted yet again. Keeping their own race, and they're keeping that over 1 second gap very well. They're working very well this race, it has to be said. So neither driver elected to go into the softs. I'm full of shite. Darius onto the hards, Mateus onto the mediums. So Mateus is going to have the advantage for the rest of this race in terms of tyre differential. And we will see further in the field, Red Ninja, Joseph Burns is also pitted onto the hard compound tyres. Dan Smith ahead of this pack quite nicely. Mateus and Darius fighting yet again. So everyone in the top 10 yet to pit still. Interesting to see where they all come out and what tyres they go on to, because the medium runners are really starting to extend now this stint. We expect them all to come in the next lap or two. As the race begins to settle down ever so slightly, a safety car would really spice things up here, as Darius Williams has gotten a 3-second time penalty, our fourth driver today to do so. So Dan Smith has Furquan and Mateus right behind him, and drivers are pitting as we speak. Roswell and Otto are battling. Well, Roswell just gone to pits. The Ferrari of Unic is the first of the two. These guys are working together quite clearly, and he's gone to the soft compound tyres. So is Jericho, so that seems to be the optimum strategy, the correct strategy here. The medium to soft, be fast at the end of the race to make your moves. Build up the battery. 5 drivers in the pits at the moment. 3 of them elected to go into the softs. Roswell as well. Great stuff from you guys. Now, Gustav as well onto the softs. What does Martin elect to put on? What does Martin elect to put on? The softs as well. So, the top 3 yet to pit. Will they be caught by the undercut? That is the question. From Unic, from Jericho, from Roswell. Sparrow has to pit as well. It's going to drop him down dead in a lot of places. Let's see what happens and develops next. So the race is going to settle down now as a few deltas begin to form. There's a bit of a train here forming. Only a 3-car train, nothing too crazy. But further down the field, drivers are really starting to close in with each other as Noise gets another 3-second time penalty. Alex, what are you doing? My guy, my steward of F4, as Roswell gets past Sparrow. I think Sparrow just kind of let him through there as he is under pressure, softer tyres. And the same with Noise and Jericho. Well, I don't think Noise actually let him through, but Jericho just barged his way through. As Mateus is now the 5th driver to get a 3-second time penalty. Papura finally into the pits 1 lap later than his teammate. As I am getting emails about signing up for Botox courses, which I have no interest in doing. Top 3 all in the pit now. Otto and Botta as well. Everyone electing to go onto the softs now. Softs are going to reign supreme here. And by the looks of it, Jericho may have caught Roswell and Botta Marco with the undercut. Papura seeming to be staying safe in P2, so the Ferraris look to be okay. Milber gets a 3-second time penalty. Otto down to P6 has lost the advantage to Roswell. So the undercut has worked for Mr. Iniesta, the Flying Dutchman. As we see Sparrow and Noise in the pits for their soft tyres as well. Everyone has a extra set of softs. Why? Because it started raining halfway through quali and everyone retired. Mateus and Dan Smith fighting yet again. Dan Smith up to P8 though. He was P10 a few laps ago. Good stuff from him. David Clark now and Sparrow Murphy also jousting away. David, who had a qualifying ban this race, has made up 6 places at the moment, is on a charge to make himself back into the points, sitting finishing places. David, who said in Discord that he was going to do a Lewis Hamilton style drive from the back of the grid. It hasn't turned out that way just yet, David, but there is still 8 laps to go in this race. And if you are the hard runners, you're going to have to be biding your time here. As we see the blinking red light of Fossey car, he's got no battery left. As the softs will be reigning supreme now for a little while longer. Mateus is going to drop off, yeah, he already has, from the soft runners in front of him. So Roswell very close to the back of Botta Marco here in the battle for P4 at the moment. He's going to have DRS now. He's not going to make a move into turn 1 surely. He's going to wait till he's got the long DRS straight up over Rouge and Radion. So we'll ride on board him here and watch how he gains this now. When DRS gets activated, he's going to fly past him on the Kemmel straight. Here we go. Bottom not even really fighting it, to be honest. He knows he's a bit of a sitting duck. That's just the way it is. Now it's his job to keep it Roswell for the next 2 sectors of this fabulous Franco-Shamps track. I've been commenting too long today. With Fossifer and Mr. Bodine having the same issues as Boffa and Roswell. Noise and Sparrow won't be fighting further down. Alex getting the position for P15. Fossifer has a little bit of snap of oversteer there as we go down the run down to Les Combs. And for our championship leader, this hasn't been the race they would have imagined themselves having. He is up 2 positions. Matea's up 10, it has to be said. Great stuff from himself, Darius and Fossifer. Carving their way through the track. As Joseph... And here we do see Furquan's Alfa Romeo. This really seems to have got the better there on the softer tyres. Softer and fresher tyres. Papura sets a new fastest lap of the race, just sub of a 1:44. Joseph Burns gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Now we have 7 drivers with time penalties. They're going to start to play a big factor now. If the safety car comes in towards the end of this race, they are boned, as one would say. Alex and Crystal now fighting. Jean conceding the position as he has 13 lap old hards. He's waiting for a safety car. He's just going to run these to the end, unfortunately, and instead is going to go from bad to worse. David Clark right behind Jean as well, and Sparrow right behind David. So a bit of a DRS train forming here now. Sparrow with a nice exit there. Bit of wheel spin. Anyway, the 2 Ferrari drivers still in a league of their own. Up 2 seconds on Jericho. With Roswell, the closest of the top 5 to anybody, is going to be hoping to make a move again once they go through Sector 1. Sparrow and Crystal now fighting. Crystal dropping down like a stone. He's in span, unfortunately for him. Disaster stuff. Now Tony making up the position against Crystal. Kind of settling down now. We haven't actually come up for air, to be honest. We've just been non-stop talking because there's been no safety cars. So Martin very close now to the back of the Haas of Darius Bodine, the F3 championship leader, as we said. He's going to want to get a move on here, as there is valuable championship points here. Top 12 gain points for the Drivers and Instructors Championship in ERO. And here we go. Is Martin going to make the move before the bus stop chicane? He has been given space by Darius. Maybe a bit of DRS games going on here, but it looks like it. But that's compromised the boat as Gustav Scherber has just entered the scene now, rapidly out of nowhere. And he's going to have DRS here, and he may just get the 2 of them on the straight. And he's been actually tipped by Fossey for Furquan Imitez. Oh, he's done Gustav a dirty there. He's done him a disservice. That was nasty. As I have knocked over my umbrella off my shelf. David Clark finally entering the pits with his 14 lap old hard. You can see him, there probably isn't going to be a safety car today. Gustav is going to be sure to report that to the steward of this tier. Oh wait, the steward's me. Well, don't record it. I don't want more work. Here we go. Lord Percival making the move and Fruity making the move. Both drivers DRS assisted overtakes through Sector 1. And we see David going to the soft compound tyres. Probably try and set the fastest lap of the race if he can. Matea's doing quite well to hold off Dan Smith here, it must be said. But he has been absolutely dropped by the drivers in front. So the real battle on track seems to be between P9 and P12 at the moment. Nothing else really happening. As Papura has left the session. Oh my, can I get your details? I can't. Oh, sugar. That's a disaster for our race leader. That's an absolute disaster. Oh my, can we get him back at the lobby ASAP? As Adam Bradshaw gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Daniel. Oh, lordy. Right, as Jericho Balgos now, naturally enough, every driver is going to feast on this situation. Botta and Jericho both making up positions. This is a disaster for Ferrari. It's a very Ferrari type of thing to happen, unfortunately, these days. I feel sorry for him because he's had such a good race. Himself and Christian have worked very, very well up to this point. It just seems like he's been snatched away because of the buggy game. Roswell now up to P4 as well. This is going to let Otto drop up to P5. Absolute disaster. Fossey for closing back in on his teammate for today / rival, as they have come to blows now already. As Papura, we can get him back in the lobby. Where is he? Oh God, where is he? Let's hope to get him back in the lobby. Has dropped down 4 positions or 5 positions in 4. No, it was P1, wasn't he? Now, as Papura has rejoined us, fortunately for them, they at least have some chance to recover this disaster of a situation. Jericho Balgos, however, has now entered the fight for the race win here. He's going to have DRS, and there's going to be no niceties between this. He probably won't make the move now, and he actually is going to look to make the move. He's going to give Christian a bit to think about there. We're going to have an exciting finish now as Jericho and Botta both on the back now of the Ferrari here. We're going to have a car fight for the win. This is really developing all of a sudden. Yes, Jericho, or yes, Bashi, there's P1, okay? As there's a yellow flag in Sector 2, we can't tell for what exactly just yet. It looks like a driver's come off. It was Papura. I think maybe it might have been over racing, trying to gain back some of those positions lost, and he's dropped in even further to the P10, unfortunately for them. Botta Marco on a trail here. First drive back in a long time. Really pushing on now. Up to P3. Less than 3/10 separating himself and Jericho Balgos. It's the yellow flag in Sector 1 now as well. Maybe that was Adam, I think, having a bit of a moment. Can't see there, but we'll stay up with these drivers at the front, because this is now the battle for the race win. 3 laps to go on the run into the bus stop chicane here. The Ferrari, I hope you've been saving your battery. You haven't really. You've got a slight advantage over the other 2 drivers. Ah, that's why you wanted me to show P1, Bashi, because you're engineering for Jericho. Now, as Papura gets past Darius Bodine, back to P9, he's got a lot of work to do on these next 2 laps. 3 laps if he wants to gain back any sort of decent race result. After P1 and P2 for so long. Will Jericho make the move now? Or will he, by this time, will he build this battery up? That is the guess. No, he's not using, no interest. However, Botta Marco, he's not using either. Both drivers electing to stay behind. Bit of dirty air now as well. I think it's going to affect the tyre wear. Biding their time as Noise enters the pits, maybe to change a front wing. We're going to stay with this fight up the front. Papura very close to the back of Dan Smith at the moment for P7. Speaking of which, he has made the move. DRS assisted overtake yet again. Double overtake on Dan there, unfortunately, with Papura and Martin both making moves on him. Papura up to 7. Martin up to 8th. So all the drivers basically in recovery mode at the moment, building up their batteries. There's a yellow flag now in Sector 2 again, and it looks like Dan Smith might have come off, as he has indeed. He's on the gravel at the moment, in the middle of Les Combs. Unfortunately for them, he's having a very solid race at this point. He's still in the points finishing position though. But and Crystal overtakes Joseph with P17. Two laps to go. Just over 2 laps to go, I beg your pardon. In F2, who is going to win this race? It's really anybody's guess at the moment. The top 3 all conserving battery as much as possible to make one final push here. And if you are Unic, you are feeling quite vulnerable at the moment. It almost feels like Jericho and Botta are playing with him. Botta is gaining time on Jericho here with a good exit out of Eau Rouge. He's going to have DRS, but he's not going to make a move at this point. One move off the racing line, which is completely legal. And the three drivers coming very, very close there. Woof. So, no moves are going to be made now, but it's... Well, hold on. Well, as I'm saying that, through Les Combs, Jericho has a bit of a moment, a snap of oversteer, drifts almost around the hairpin. Into the no-name corner we go. He's going to lose a bit of time there. It's going to give Unic a bit of a buffer, which he needed, valuable. However, Bottle Marco rapidly on the tail now of Jericho Barrios. Crystal sets the fastest lap of the race with 142.668. And Malberg, Tony into the pits. Puts Crystal to P16. That's not going to make a difference to him, though, at the moment. The real fight is these three drivers. Great stuff from them. They've been keeping very clean all race so far. No penalties either. We're going to see now what happens. Who's going to make the move? Who's going to unleash the battery? Bottle using a tiny bit there. Jericho with the most battery out of the three drivers. So, if you're Bottle, should you have made a move into the bus stop chicane? It's an interesting thought now. Very close to the back of Jericho's gearbox there. Here we go. This is it. It's now or never, do or die. If you want to win the race, you're going to win it in these next 5 corners. And I expect all these drivers to empty their... Oh, there's a bit of a lockup there from Unic because the yellow flag in Sector 2. It looks like the Williams of Sparrow Maltby's gone off. And also Crystal, I think, has gone off as well. Unfortunately for him. However, we're going to stay up the front now. Jericho on this final lap. He is using... So is Unic. However, Jericho's got the slight advantage. DRS wide open. Here we go. Is he going to make the move? Is it going to stick? Side by side, up comes Botta Marco on the inside as well. Oh my god, and there's contact between the McLaren and the Alpine. Unic manages to keep the position but gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Botta Marco rapidly closing in here on Jericho Balgos and the McLaren. Makes a dive through Les Combs. Side by side they go. Botta keep gaining the position. Unic managed to keep P1 here. Well, now he's got an 8-second time penalty, so now it's between Botta and Jericho for the win. Every driver exhausted the battery there. That was great stuff from the three of them. They're very, very good. Unfortunate for the bit of contact. However, Botta Marco is going to snatch this win after being P3 the lap before. Or has Jericho got one last knockout punch to deliver to the Romanian driver? And he's using it already. He's got a bit more battery than Botta, but I don't think he's got enough in the tank. Unless Botta has an absolute... horrendous bus stop chicane. This is going to go the way of Alpine. Ferrari, which looks to be guaranteed a 1-2, are going to end up, well, not 1-2 anyway. Jericho is going to try a little switch back here, but it's just not going to be enough, I'm afraid. Unic's going to cross the line in P1, but it is going to be Botta Marco who wins this race. Jericho Balgos in P2. Roswell Iniesta P3, Otto Snodfield in P4, and Unic down to P5. That's a disastrous result for Ferrari. Papiro up to P7 afterwards, as apparently Unic's DNF'd. We'll have to check that if there's a report made for that. Anyway, Martin Rusnak P7, Darius Bodin in P8, Fossey for Furquine Imitas P9, Dan Smith P10. However, David Clark and Noyes are battling it out on the run to the line as David's just making contact with Alex's gearbox here the whole time. Crystal gets a 3-second time penalty. David says, I had enough of this. So does Alex. What driver's yeeting it? Managing to keep all their tyres on though. And that'll be it. That's all she wrote, folks, to the points finishers. Malberg crosses the line as we're just waiting for Joseph, Adam, and Jean. And that will be it, ladies and gentlemen. Roswell is delighted with a podium today. Good showing from you. And just now, final confirmation of our provisional standings before Stewart's findings. Just the Alpine on the podium. Marco P1 after a P7 grid start. Jericho Balgos P2. Roswell Iniesta. That's your podium finishers. Otto Snuffield, our championship leader, up to P4. A decent recovery of 4 positions for him. Mateusz Toflaninski P5, Papura P6, Martin Rusnak P7, Darius Badin P8, Berkwan Nimitaz P9. The two F3 drivers getting a decent showing here. Dan Smith into P10 after qualifying P4. It's disappointing for him. Gustav Schubert and Sparrow Maltby round out our points finishers. David Clark, Noyes, Malberg, Joseph Burns, Adam Golden Flame Bradshaw, Crystal Yunik and Anatoly Matsyuk round out the rest of the grid. We'll just get the race directed for anyone that needs it. And stay with us for tomorrow evening, where we'll have F1 at 7 p.m. Will they be doing their second mystery track of Season 12 of ERO? Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you very much.